Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Disney's Mufasa, The Lion King. Get tickets now for the ultimate family holiday movie experience. Reunite with the characters you know and the untold story you'd never expect. Witness Mufasa's rise from orphan to king and see how the legendary villain Scar got his name. Disney's Mufasa, The Lion King, in theaters everywhere this Friday. The kingdom awaits.
You and Zoe been in plenty of situations like this before, right?
Many a time.
Many a time, you and Zoe.
Once we know who it was took us.
Zoe and you, together in a tricky... Mal, she's my wife.
Huh?
What gives you the right to put her in a dangerous situation like this?
I didn't.
You did!
She ain't here, Wash.
No, but she would have been.
Okay.
I mean, I'm the one that she swore to love, honor, and obey.
Listen, she swore to obey?
Well, no, not. But that's just my point. She obeys. She obeys you. There's obeying going on right under my nose.
Look, Zoe and I have a history. She trusts me.
What's that supposed to mean?
Don't mean a thing, but you're making out like she blindly follows my every word. That ain't true.
Sure it is.
Not so. There's plenty of orders of mine that she didn't obey.
Name what?
She married you!
Well, hello everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Firefly. We're just two boys watching every episode of Firefly for the first time, giving our review, our reactions. We're your hosts. I am Joe Welke.
I am Vance.
And today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 10, titled War Stories, directed by James Contner, written by Cheryl Kane. Original air date December 6th, 2002 to an audience of 3.85 million people. Before we get into the episode, everybody, just a reminder, join our Patreon, patreon.com/Boys Watching Buffy, where we're doing Boys Watching Angel. Angel's coming to a close soon.
Mm-hmm.
Only a couple episodes left of that. Boys Watching Movies, we are releasing our Long Kiss Goodnight episode as a little Christmas present for you guys. We're going to do that on Christmas, a day earlier than we normally do.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to avoid family, but you want to have the company of the boys, we got you covered.
If you consider the boys family, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Christmas Day.
We're the boys, but we're also your boys. You know what I'm saying?
And I'll say that episode is a blast.
Yes, it is. So check that out. Join our Discord where we have a lot of lively and fun conversations about all things Firefly, Angel, Long Kiss Goodnight, and waffles, and pancakes, and everything else in the world that people want to bring up.
Yep.
So yeah, there is that. How are you doing, Vance?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing really good. I got a good night of, like, there's some times where I'm like, I did not get a lot of sleep last night when I come on here and I'm dragging ass. Today, got a lot of sleep. I'm feeling fucking good, man.
I'm not feeling the same, probably because I had imbibed more alcohol than you last night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. Yeah.
Well, hell yeah. Well, so here's the thing. Was it 2 weeks ago? Vance put out a bird call. Is it a bird call? I don't know. Vance put out a call.
I don't think it's a bird call. I was like, what?
Vance put out a call for our listeners to come up with some lyrics to summarize the episodes of Firefly. Last week we played some of them. I performed another one. Then we were like, hey, let's keep this going. We're doing the dang thing again. This week we only had one person come up with lyrics, but I think it's because everybody else kind of recognized. They were like, oh, that's just pretty fucking good and I can't compete or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I want more competition in this. we can't be just doing can't just be having Anzai every week. But Anzai, little hint here, you are the winner for this week by default.
And I want Anzai to keep bringing the heat, but I want someone to try to dethrone Anzai.
Yeah. So, without further ado, here is the song recap of last week's episode. Here we go. Joe can't remember what Jane said, but now he looks better in red. Simon says he's got a job at a hospital they can rob. Money was just too good for Jane. The hands of blue will melt your brain. They'll sell the meds and drugs they took, and also where the fuck is Book? What do you do? What you do to them, you do to me, and you've betrayed serenity. Lost it there. But here we go. We're going to finish strong, everybody. River's psychic, can't fool her, 'cause she's got no amygdala. Jane is just a hired gun. Please don't tell them what he done. There we go. Fucked it up a little bit. Not the best, but Anzai, thanks so much for those good lyrics again.
Great
good
lyrics.
Times.
Great lyrics.
Yeah, great lyrics. I think that they were counting on me to do like, the bridge and the solo and stuff with that. What you do to them, you do to me. But I ain't got time for all that. You know what I do got time for? Opening this energy drink. Creamsicle this week, baby.
Ooh, you're going crazy. I'm just Ultra Vice Guava.
I plan on going to the gym after this, so this is why the creamsicle is my choice.
You know
what?
I also want to give a shout out, because we haven't been drinking them on the podcast. A shout out to Paul, who sent us in the protein
Fairlife things,
the Fairlife milks, and they were great. And
they're fantastic, dude.
Amazing. And thank you, Paul PK.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody. Here. Cheers, Paul.
Yeah.
There's a clink of the aluminum can there.
Yeah.
All right. So, war stories. What were our predictions for war stories? Do you remember? Do you recall?
I do. I have them written down.
Smart.
I said that we find out Book's backstory.
Mm-hmm.
We do not. He just seems to keep doing stuff, and people keep looking like, how do you know how to do this? It's like, all right.
Yeah.
And you said that Mal meets someone he fought alongside as a brown coat and has to kill them.
Oh, I thought that was a pretty damn good prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Both of us were wrong.
Yes. You were closer.
But
it was about him fighting alongside a brown coat, just not a new person.
Yeah. But, yeah. So, let's get into the episode. We get a previously on Firefly. We learn about the hospital robbery, the train job recap, and also Niska. Remember Niska from all the way back on the train job?
Mm-hmm.
Wowza. And we see Mal kick his boy into the engine again, which was one of the best moments of this series so far. Then the episode starts with Book talking to Simon about Shan Yu. Not Shen Yu, the amazing show that I promised to take my ex-girlfriend to but never did. Shan Yu. And he was basically a dictator who loved torturing people. And Book explains that, like, his philosophy was, like, you could live with a man every day for 40 years and then on the last day hang him by the edge of a volcano. And that's the day that you'll finally know that man, like, at his breaking point. And Book believes that the Alliance did some Shan Yu stuff to River to see when she'd break. And Simon disagrees. He thinks that they did the torture on River to be a bit more specific because the Alliance is still chasing after them and they must have wanted something from River. So it's also like the precision and stuff of what they were doing to her and how many times they went into her brain. They had to be up to something. And Book is like, oh, okay, well, is she doing better now that you kind of know what's going on with her? And he's like, well, I got some new meds for her. She's sleeping better, but she's still not very stable. And then Book kind of is like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember you got new meds because you're the orchestrator of the hospital job. You're moonlighting as a criminal mastermind now. And Simon's like, yeah.
It's like, Book, you have a secret too, man. Don't come down on him for being a criminal mastermind, which I will say, Simon being a heist organizer is really, really his greatest asset.
Yeah, he should just keep doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that it was like specific to the hospital that he worked in and he knows all about that, but maybe they should just keep ripping off hospitals.
Yeah.
Just go to every hospital and don't even have to worry about River stuff.
Yeah. They have to still have that. I guess they left that shuttle on world, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. And then we go over to Niska. And he is just whipping the shit out of some guy
that
stole from
technically
him. Oh yeah, his goon. His goon's whipping the shit out of him. And Niska starts to ask him about Shan Yu. Are you familiar with the works of Shan Yu? And he gives the same speech basically that Book gave to Simon. And he's like, oh, then you figure out like how you really know somebody. And then he takes out a gigantic knife. And he's like, hey, now we're going to really start asking the questions. And the guy's like, oh, no, he's about to stab him. And then Niska is interrupted because they got an alert that they found Mal's ship. And Niska's like, ooh, isn't this lovely? With his tiny little fucking glasses. And he's like, all right, well, bring them here. And then he goes back to torturing the other guy. And he's quoting Shan Yu some more. And yeah, that's kind of the opening. The scene is set. It's a Niska episode.
Yes, it's a Niska wash episode. And I'll say this. It hasn't happened yet, but this to me was the funniest episode of the show that we've had so far.
This was the funniest episode?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Janestown was pretty funny.
Janestown
had a funny episode.
Janestown had one joke.
Yeah.
That was
Fair
the one
enough.
joke. So it had the joke.
Yeah.
But this one, I think, has multiple funny moments.
Fair enough.
Even though the one running gag I don't find as funny.
Yeah, the running gag is not that great.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm with you. It's a funny episode.
I'll highlight the humor when it comes. It's not there yet.
Yeah. So then we go back to Serenity, and River and Kaylee are playing. They're like, Kaylee's chasing River around because River stole Kaylee's apple or something. And Inara is talking to Mal, and Inara is meeting with some fancy highfalutin counselor, politician person. And Inara is going to bring this counselor onto the ship. And Mal is like, why can't I meet the counselor? I want to meet this fancy counselor. Like, they're coming onto my ship. I should get to meet him. And Inara's like, I'd rather not. And I'd rather everybody not be here for this. I don't want the counselor feeling like they got a bunch of eyes on them and they're being spied on. Like, there's a bit of privacy that goes with being a companion. And River and Kaylee are like running through the ship screaming, and Mal's like, shut the fuck up! But Mal is like, well, I want to meet the counselor. If they're going to come on my ship, I deserve to have a right to meet them. And Inara's just kind of rolling her eyes like, oh, Mal.
The guy I love for some reason.
Yeah, but will never, ever show. And so then we have Kaylee chasing River, and eventually Kaylee gets the apple from River, and Wash and Zoe are enjoying some apples at the dinner table, and they comment about like, oh, this is so good that we got real fruit for the first time in forever because of that hospital job that we did. And I don't know why Jane was so charitable with his portion of the cut, which is a nice little resolving of how he got back onto the ship, kind of like he gave up his cut. Or Mal made him give up his cut.
I don't think Mal made him give up his cut. I think he's making amends in his own way.
Like that episode that nobody likes. That joke's still happening, people.
When I wrote making amends in my note, I was like, I'm teeing him up for that.
Yeah, that joke still happens. Okay, it's gonna keep happening for as long as we do this.
Okay.
But yeah, so Zoe starts telling a story from the war about, she loved having apples back then. And there was a time where it was her little battalion with Mal, and they were across, like over a hill from an Alliance battalion, and all of their ammunition was out and their weapons were out, and they didn't have any orders. So they were just like yelling jokes and stuff over and kind of semi-bonding with the Alliance soldiers and like forming a little like, ha ha ha, yeah, we're soldiers. This is all kind of fucked. But then the independent soldiers like ran out of food, and they were like, hey, we don't have any food over here. You guys got any food? And the Alliance soldiers gave them like a basket of apples, and Mal sent them back like a basket of grenades or something. Is that right?
No. I was like wondering if you were going to land the story. I was like, Kaylee asked Zoe why did she cut her apples before she bites into them, because she's cutting them with a knife. And she's like, only you and Mal do that. And then Zoe's telling a story about when they were in the trenches and then they were running out of food and someone threw over. And she asked, like, do you know what a yada yada bomb is? It's like the size of something small. So implying and then telling that they got apples and people didn't wait, and they were just so quick to like bite it and eat the apples, and then a couple of people's heads got blown off because of that.
Jeez.
So yeah, that's why her and Mal always cut their apples to make sure there's nothing inside of them.
Okay.
That's what.
Well, then you see Jane start cutting his apples.
Does he? I know he stabs one to get it, but he's like eating his off the knife.
Yeah. So then Wash seems like kind of annoyed by these storytelling that Zoe's doing. He's like, oh yeah, you and Mal. And Mal shows up and he's like, all right, we're close to a planet where we can actually spend our money. We got to do the drop for some of this medical stuff, and we're going to get our money and spend it. And Wash, under his breath, kind of is like, think we could have made more money than what we did or what we're doing. And Mal's like, what's that, soldier? And Wash's like, nothing. So then Serenity is landing on this planet. Wash and Zoe start to argue, which is an argument over Wash had an idea of how to offload this medicine at another planet, and he thinks that it would have gotten them more money. And he's like, did you talk to Mal about my idea? And Zoe's like, yeah, I talked to him about it, and he didn't like your idea. And Wash is like, did you actually tell him about it? Or, what's going on? And she's like, yeah, I told him. And Wash is like, well, you're just like hiding behind Mal's decision, and you're not really honest with me. Did you think my idea was a good idea? And Zoe's like, well, I think that Mal thought it was a bad idea. He's like, I didn't ask what Mal thought. I asked what you thought. Did you think it was a good idea? And Zoe's just like, you know what, man? No, I didn't. Thought that it was going to be too much trouble. I thought that it was going to be, too risky. And then Wash is like, then just say that. Don't hide behind Mal said this. I want you to have a fucking opinion of your own. Like, you're always just doing what Mal does and you're following Mal's orders. Like, do you even have like a brain of your own? Like, what's going on? And Zoe's like, well, dude, like, I don't want you to get like mad and pissed at me. And Wash is like, well, I'm annoyed that I have a wife that won't tell me how she feels. And this is Zoe. They start to like really raise their voices. And Zoe says, oh, that's just what this marriage needs. One more screaming match, one more yelling argument or something. And then Wash says, if I was doing quote unquote, which is a Angel specific segment, but for this, I'm throwing it in here. Wash comes back at her with, no, this marriage needs one less husband because right now it's kind of crowded. And I was like, oh, Wash with the bars, dude.
Yeah. This is the line. Yeah, that's the linchpin of this episode. That's the quote.
And we have been talking about this for a while now. Like, what's going on? Like, what is this?
Yeah, I loved his line, which is Zoe needs to have an opinion of her own. Because she's been like sidelined and just like, yes, Mal, no Mal, sure Mal, like the whole season.
Yeah.
When Wash goes into his like extended Chinese anger rant, I was like, can we cut that down or something? Because he just goes and it's like, okay, I think he got it out. Nope, it's still going. It's still going.
Yeah, no, that's a long Chinese rant.
And it's not fluid. You could tell it's the actor trying to remember how to say it in Chinese. So it doesn't feel
it's like listening to me try to play the theme song.
Yeah. It doesn't feel natural at all.
Yeah.
But
I thought this was great. Finally get to see some Wash Zoe stuff, which is something we've been curious about.
Yeah.
Something we've been hinting at. Like, what's going on here?
Some of it's a little forced the way it comes out, but yeah, it's there. It ends up in an interesting spot.
Yeah. So then we go over to River, who is barfing, and Simon runs over to tend to her. And River's talking about how she's like been feeling a little bit better. And she seems like kind of coherent and making a little sense. But then as she keeps on talking, she kind of starts to lose it a little bit and starts crying. And Simon's like, oh, who's my pretty little girl? Who's my pretty little beautiful sister? You're my sister. Oh, it's going to be okay. And then she's like, I threw up in your bed, Simon. And he's like, yeah, you're definitely my sister.
Yeah, not the funny part yet.
Yeah. I wrote, she threw up in Simon's bed, period. Levity, period.
That's when you know something's funny, when you write levity. I had predicted that after they injected her with magic medicine last episode, that River would be more like what I kind of remember from the Serenity movie. And right here, when she starts talking in riddles, I wrote in my notes, I was wrong.
Yeah, because it seems like she's doing better, but just like there's like a timer on how much she can do.
Yeah,
and she hit that timer pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
She got about 15 seconds of clarity, and then back to old River nonsense.
Yep.
So then we go over to it's like the entrance of Serenity, and it's like Book and Kaylee and Jane are like spying on Inara, who is like about to let the counselor in.
Yeah, they made a fake room that's never been there, that's in that cargo bay that they can hide out on the side. Because they're hiding out where you would stash empty stuff. You know? It's like, that's the layout.
I thought they're hiding, like, to me, I thought the layout was like that's where the infirmary was.
But the infirmary's further back. Because remember when
they got a layout of Serenity posted in the Discord.
Because remember when they had trapped the Reaver guy in the infirmary, they had to go back to find him because they came into the cargo bay and it wasn't like visible from where they are. They're in like some. It feels like an extra made up place so that they can watch from the cargo bay where, yeah.
So, yeah, they're all like kind of spying on Inara, and Book is there with his Bible. And he was like, I thought Inara said that she wanted some privacy. And Kayla's like, oh, I mean, I know she said that she wanted some privacy, but I just got to see this fancy, highfalutin counselor. I've never seen somebody so fancy in my life. It gives me the vapors. And Jane's like, yeah, I want to see it too. And so Inara's, who you think the counselor is, shows up. It's some guy. He's all militarily dressed. And Kayla's like, oh my God, there he is. Oh, wow, he's fancy. And Mal tries to greet him. Mal is standing at the door. He goes out to shake his hand. He goes, hey, I'm Captain Mal Reynolds. And the guy is not interested. The guy just blows Mal off, walks right past him, and Mal's like, huh. But the guy then puts his finger in his ear, which is the telltale sign of communications. Lets the real counselor know the coast is clear, you can come on. And then the real counselor shows up. And the counselor is a lovely, demure, older woman, and everybody's jaws just drop. Jane's jaw drops. Kaylee's jaw drops. Book even stands up to drop his jaw.
Oh my.
Yeah. Kaylee's like, well, I knew that she had female clients, but I never knew they could be this fancy and so elegant. And Jane goes, I'm going back to my bunk to insinuate that he is going to bop his baloney, everybody.
I'll be in my bunk.
He's going to choke the chicken, as they say.
And if you like that joke, it's going to keep coming back.
Oh, yeah. Going to his bunk.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, then Inara takes the elegant woman, female counselor back to her shuttle, and Mal's jaw is even dropped. He's even kind of like, humming. Lesbians. I live in outer space, but lesbians.
It's so interesting that this is in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
You think you would just have it where, like, you see a woman leave Inara's room. Because they've already hinted towards it because he thinks that she kissed Mrs. Reynolds. Saffron, yeah. So, like, it's already been hinted. Kaylee says, I knew she took female clients, but I just never seen her with one. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah. Scandalous.
Do you think Kaylee would ever hook up with Jane? I could see it based off of the flashback. Just being like her being like, oh, it's just sex. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Based off of the flashback, maybe.
Yeah.
But based off of everything else that I've seen of her, absolutely not.
Right? Like, on the flashback, I could see her being like, oh, I can see the good in everybody. Like, it's fine.
He needs to install an engine on his favorite gun or something, like on Vera. That'll get her.
You don't think she was turned on when she had to coach him through fixing the engine when she was like shot?
Nah, yeah. It's right over there. Over where?
Like, he just grabs a wrench and he's like in a tank. He's in like a tank top, like a tank t-shirt, and just like doing something by the engine. He's like, oh hey. She's like, oh my.
Wow, Jane, I never looked at you, never knew that you were so big.
He just puts some grease on his face and walks up, and he's like, oh yeah, I just been working in the engine room. Oh, what was going on down there? It's like, oh, nothing. Your handiwork was great.
This is the Firefly fanfic that needs to be written.
That's the romance novels that she reads.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody is gobsmacked by Inara with this elegant older woman. So we go to Zoe and Mal. They're on a shuttle, and they're gonna do a drop to like sell off some of this medicine. And Zoe's trying to figure out, hey, there's something wrong with this shuttle. Like, I can't turn it on. Like, has River been here? Has River been messing with it? Which, I mean, last episode, she was supposed to be like confined to, or was that 2 episodes? I don't know. But she was supposed to be confined to her room, but this episode she's running about all over again.
Because Doctor gave her super medicine.
Yeah. But Mal, he radios to Wash. He's like, Wash, come here. You got to fix the shuttle. And Wash shows up and he goes, you know what? No. And Mal's like, excuse me? And he's like, I'm not going to fix it. And I actually am the one that fucked with it because I knew Zoe wouldn't be able to like figure it out. And I'm not going to fix it because I'm going to do this drop with you, Mal. It's not going to be you and Zoe. It's going to be you and me, Mal. We got to do this drop because we got to have a talk. And then Mal's like, I don't have time for this nonsense, my dude. Fix the fucking shuttle. And Wash is like, no. And then Zoe's like, what are you doing? Like, this is not between, like, what are you doing? This is bullshit. And Mal's like, whatever's going on between you two, settle it later. We got to do this drop. And Wash is like, I'm not doing it unless I'm going on the mission. And so Zoe eventually concedes and she's like, fine, have fun. And she sits it out. Wash sits down on the shuttle and Mal's like, what the fuck is going on? I do not like what is happening at all. And Wash is like, them's the breaks, buddy.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like what this scene establishes is not what happens immediately after. Like, Wash is like, we're going to have a talk, Mal. We got to have a long talk. And then later on, doesn't seem that way. In my opinion.
I don't remember if he said they need to have a talk here. I know they talk in the next scene. Yeah. I don't know. You can fill me in when you get to that.
Sure. So then we go over to Inara, and she is massaging the topless counselor. And the counselor's like, oh my God, this feels so fucking good. And Inara's like, yeah, you like that? And the counselor's like, yeah, right there. And Inara's talking to her about how, like, you know, most of my clientele are men. And if I choose a woman, she has to be an extraordinary woman to want to spend my time with. And the counselor's turning around and she's like, oh, don't you just hate being in the company of men? You can never really truly be yourself, but when I'm with you, I feel like I can be myself. And Inara's like, let's be ourselves together and enjoy ourselves. And the counselor's like, oh yeah, girl. And then they start smooching.
Yep. The counselor says you don't have to do the whole like performance for me. Like, I just want to just hang out and do this. And at first I was like, oh, maybe they aren't going to like hook up, you know? Maybe it's going to be one of those, like, you just want the companionship versus the like sex from it. And it was like, nope, I want both.
Yeah. She wants to relax. And I thought that it was going to be like that. Like, I just need to get away from all these fucking dudes.
Yeah.
You ever been around a bunch of dudes? They fucking suck, my dude.
She's like, yeah, I guess the ship. But the ship's like pretty diverse. It's pretty split.
Yeah, it's pretty diverse.
Yeah.
But no, they're hooking up. Inara's going to make her complete. You know what I'm saying?
The Buffy references are flying high.
So then we go to Wash and Mal. And Mal is like, so what the fuck is going on here? Why isn't Zoe, why'd you want to take this take this mission away from Zoe. And Wash is like, I thought that we just needed to have a little bonding experience. You know, you and I, we never really hang out. And Mal's like, you know what Zoe does on these missions, right? You don't know, you have no idea what she does. And Wash is like, I can handle myself. I've been in a firefight. Well, I've been in a fire. Well, that actually was a dream. I've been fired from being a fry cook. But
this funniest episode thing is just not tracking yet. It gets funnier.
Yeah. It does.
It takes a while to get there. Funniest is relative in relationship to the other episodes, but okay.
I'll give you that. But Mal is like, I mean, you have no idea what Zoe does on any of these missions, do you? And Wash is like, I can do it. And then you cut to them on the planet, and Wash is carrying like the heavy box full of all the medicine and drugs. And he's like, this is what she does. Oh, is this what you mean by handling yourself? Oh, this sucks. And they meet up with their buyers, and the buyers are, you know, they're making the exchange. Hey, give us the money. And then Mal all of a sudden sees a red dot show up on his buyer's forehead. And Mal's like, what the oh, fuck. And they all hit the deck. The buyers get their heads blown off because there's snipers afoot. Mal and Wash are on the ground. The snipers surround them and take Mal and Wash hostage.
I like that the snipers were 3 feet away from them.
Yeah.
Underneath like their camo.
It was also just like they were in the desert. Like, how did you not see these guys?
You walked up in a wide shot.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Hey, man, whatever you got to do to get there.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they still use like long-range sniper red dots in the future? All right, sure.
Yeah. 500 years into the future.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else has gone backwards.
Yeah.
We do line dancing, and we all wear funny cowboy outfits, except for Wash, who has a Hawaiian shirt.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
So then we go over to Book, and Book is bench pressing. He's lifting weights with Jane. And Book is putting up this weight, my dude.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much it was, but he's got his little Under Armour shirt on too, so he's looking good.
He's looking pretty for an older guy.
Yeah, he's
looking pretty fit.
Yeah, because we've only seen him in like more layers. Even when he leaves, he's got a regular shirt on in the later scene, like a button down, while everyone else is like in a tactical gear almost. Yeah,
but like in this Under Armour shirt, he's looking pretty damn fit. Good on you, Book. But the counselor and Inara's walking the counselor out. The counselor's leaving, and Jane's watching, and he's lusting. He's just, his imagination's running wild, and he's ignoring that he's supposed to be spotting Book, but luckily Book got that weight up. Know what I'm saying?
Well, he helps him, but they don't do the gag where he's like struggling, and he can't. He's almost dying, and it's like, hey, help! He does a no-look one-arm spot. Yeah, and then after he slams the weight back onto the rack, Jane goes, "I'm going to my bunk." He's gonna bop his baloney again, and Zoe shows up now. And she's like, Jane, go grab your weapons. And he's like, why? Not that one, the real one. We gotta go.
Go to your bunk and bring back your favorite girl, Vera. But Zoe's like, go get your weapons. And Book is like, why? What's the matter? Zoe, is trouble afoot? And Zoe's like, yeah, I think that there's something wrong because Wash and Mal should have been back by now. We're going to go to the drop spot because they should have been back by now. And this is fishy. And Book is like, well, I would like to go too. Do you mind if I come along? You can see that I'm a bit more fit than you realize in this Under Armour shirt. And Zoe's like, sure, whatever, man. Come. Sure.
Well, she doesn't want him to come at first. Then he's like, three sets of eyes will be better. And she's like, fine, whatever. But
he's like wiping his hands with a towel.
Yeah. It's interesting how they don't feel like he's useful in missions.
Yeah.
He was a part of that cattle. He got shot at the cattle deal. I guess that's the only thing they know of him. But they know he's high ranking or something. They know he has some type of thing, and they seem like they don't care about it. Like, why is no one else curious?
Nobody's asked him what's going on. Like, Zoe and Jane were there when they were at the Alliance medical facility.
Yeah. Everybody should be like, what's your deal, guy?
Yeah, but no. But Zoe, Jane, and Book, they arrive at the drop spot, and Book, I mean, they see the buyers that have been shot in the head, and Book is like, oh, this is the doings of sharpshooters. I can tell by the bullets. It's this type of bullets. That means it came from this type of gun. And then Jane goes, yeah, doing a lot of sharpshooting on the monastery there, preacher. And then Book goes, yes, rabbits. And then Jane's like, uh-huh.
I'm like, dig deeper, guys.
Right? Dude, there's always that moment with Book. There's always that moment where they could be like, how do you... They just kind of slightly hint at it, and they're like, how do you know that? And Book goes, that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, sure, whatever. But Jane susses out like, well, they weren't after the goods, and based off of the trackings of these, like this tracking in the desert, like this is the type of vehicle, so they're probably off world by now. And then Zoe goes, oh fuck, I think I know who has them, and it's Niska. I mean, I like seeing Jane know his shit.
Oh yeah, Jane says. They have never not had Jane. He has never played like full idiot, doesn't know what's going on. Like he's good at that stuff. He's greedy. He wants money. You can't trust him, but he is good at tracking. Because we learned he's good at tracking and he can see the tracks and stuff like so.
Yeah. But I think that the Book stuff is getting a little egregious. Yeah. When he can tell like the caliber bullet and what type of gun it was from. That's getting a little like, all right, now we got to ask some questions to this guy.
We got to have that Book episode,
Yeah, we got to, like, who's on my ship?
Yeah. That's what makes it egregious to me is that Mal, everything that we've seen, he would not just let someone be on the ship and not know their full details.
Yeah. So we go to Wash and Mal.
Well, why is Book on there? Like, why is Book a part of the crew?
He just wanted to go and hang out.
Like, wasn't he supposed to get dropped off somewhere? Because Mal isn't into religion, so he wouldn't even really want Book there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's a calming presence.
Yeah, but like everyone seems to have a role.
Yeah. He's there to pray over dead bodies.
Does he get a cut of the heist?
I hope not.
Yeah, right.
He better not be. He wasn't even in that episode. Whatever. Yeah. But yeah, we go to Wash and Mal. They're arriving on Niska's ship, and they're in his little torture chamber, and Wash is shitting his pants. They're both blindfolded, and Wash is like, okay, Mal, tell me what to do. I know I'm here. I'm supposed to be handling myself, but ordinarily Zoe would be in this situation, and how dare you put my wife in these dangerous situations? And Mal is like, dude, what? She's not here. She's not in the dangerous situation. And Wash is like, but she would have been if I didn't step in her place. And how dare you? So I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna keep my head. Just tell me what Zoe would do in a situation like this, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be doing what Zoe's doing. And Mal is just like walking around trying to figure out where he is and like the environment and his surroundings. And Wash is like, well, if Zoe were here, she would stop talking. And Wash is like, okay, I'll stop talking. But if I stop talking, you have to start talking because it's too quiet in here. I just don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And Mal's like, calm down. And yeah. Then Wash starts talking about how yeah, he's talking to Mal about like, well, you put my wife in these dangerous situations and she's supposed to be my wife and I have a duty. She has duties to me. Like she's supposed to, obey me. And Mal's like, Zoe obeys you? And Wash is like, no, but fucking whatever. Like she always obeys you. She always takes your orders. And Mal's like, well, I was her captain back in the war, man. Like we have a long history. Like she follows a lot of my orders. And Wash is like, she follows all of your orders. And Mal's like, doesn't follow all of my orders. And Wash is like, oh yeah, what's one fucking order that she didn't follow? And Mal goes, I ordered her not to marry you. And then Niska arrives and unblindfolds Mal, and Mal goes, oh, shakatumdagja, or whatever Chinese he says.
Yeah, that was probably as close as they got. This one.
Is this where the hilarity starts, Vance?
It's coming. It's coming. This is the one Wash thing that felt a little too forced of him being like, you put Zoe in these dangerous situations when we just saw the hospital job where they went in. And I do get the Wash jealousy of, I mean, they force it for the episode, but Wash gets super jealous of all the time that Zoe is spending with Mal and stuff. But they've been building towards that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, he's like, you put her in these dangerous situations. It's like, you guys have been doing these missions for a while, right? Like that's a little reach of a complaint. But I did like the twist of the obey thing from like the marriage stuff, the marriage proposal or the marriage vows. And then she doesn't obey my every order. Name one. She married you. And you're like, oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
I am curious how that marriage came about. Like, did they have to ask Mal for like a ship to go off?
I'll be honest, even at the end of this episode, I still don't get it. But whatever. They're married. That's, whatever.
Yeah. It's interesting that they are married and that they aren't just like together.
Yeah. But whatever.
Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. One of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
So then we go back to Serenity, and the Serenity crew, they're gathering all their money together. And Zoe's plan is that she's going to pay Niska off. She's going to buy back Mal and Wash. She's like, this money should be more than enough. This is like 5 times the amount of money that we got for the train job. And And so she's going to go and she's going to make a deal with Niska. And she says, if it takes too long, take Serenity and fly off and run. And everyone's like, okay, cool.
I do like that Jane mentions like, he might still be mad about the guy we kicked into the engine.
Yeah. Like, what was that guy named? Crow? That was his name, I think.
I guess.
But yeah, good callback. So then we go to where I'm guessing the hilarity ensues for Vance.
I did write funny. I did write funny here. Yeah.
I will say this is a pretty funny scene.
Yeah.
Despite what's going on, is darkly very funny.
Mm-hmm.
So Mal and Wash are getting tortured. They're getting electrocuted, and they're arguing about Zoe like the whole time. Niska and his boy are standing there, like observing what's going on. And Mal and Wash could not care less about either like Niska or his bodyguard or whatever.
Between electric shocks, they keep going back and continuing their conversation about Zoe. It's so
I
good.
do love, like, every time they pause it, like, Niska is, like, gleefully watching this happen, and he's, like, got a smile on his face, and he waits for everybody to get their point across, and then he starts electrocuting.
Yeah.
But Wash is basically like, I can't believe that you told Zoe not to marry me. And Mal is like, well, I didn't want you to get married because I don't think workplace romances are good. It leads to a lot of, like, you know, split allegiances. And Wash is like, I think you're projecting your own issues onto everyone else. And Mal goes, well, guess what, bro? I fucked your girl before you guys were together. And Wash is like, no, you didn't. That would never happen. And then Mal goes, I don't know, man. I've known Zoe for a lot longer than you. And I got to tell you, she is a certified hottie. And Wash is like, no, she would never. And Mal's like, why don't you fucking ask her? Wash is like, maybe I will. And Niska's just sitting there like, yay, this is so great already.
The key in this conversation is that Wash says that the issue is that Mal never slept with her. And that's the part of the problem. Because now he thinks, like, that's a
There's
conquest.
A bunch of sexual tension. Yeah.
And he's like, I kind of wish you would have slept with her. And so the tension would be over. And then Mal is saying, well, when I get back on the ship, I'm going to sleep with her.
That's the first thing I'm going to do. And Wash is like, I dare you. And he's like, I will. And then Wash passes out. He's like, you can't pass out. You can't pass out. You got to witness. You got to see me cuck you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, that was I did not expect the conversation to go there.
Me neither.
I kind of get it, though, and at a certain level with the sexual tension, and that, like, if Zoe had hooked up with him and then they never did it, it wouldn't be like, I guess in Wash's eyes, he's just like, well, Mal always wants to try to get that, and he's a little vindictive towards me because I got it and he never got it. Which, if he knew that this heart of gold, celibate Mal, he would not be worried about it. Mal hasn't gotten a chance to hook up with anybody. We haven't seen him, like, smooth talk any ladies or nothing.
I mean, this is a very, aside from Wash and Zoe, it's a very sexless show.
And Inara. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, Inara. Yeah.
So,
well, I guess
there's a professional.
We saw Kaylee. All right, you know what? I take it back.
Yeah. Like, there's a professional sex worker on the show.
Fair enough.
It's just our lead has not been a dashing guy who just, like.
Well, it's because men of honor never get laid. You know, you gotta be well, Jane doesn't get laid either.
Maybe it's because...
no, Jane did get laid. Jane got laid in Jamestown.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, Mal's the only one. Mal and Book.
Book's not gonna do it. Or he could.
Yeah, Simon's hooking up with River. I mean,
What? So Jane hooks up with either River or Kaylee.
I don't know, man.
Jane hooking up with River would be hilarious just for the Simon reactions.
Yeah. Oh my God, Simon would barf in River's bed.
River would never do that because she knows Jane. Betrayed them, but somehow isn't saying anything.
But the crux of this is Wash is jealous of Mal, and Mal is going to bang Zoe when he gets back on the ship.
Yeah.
So then
Spoiler alert, he does.
And they show it all.
It was, I didn't even know you could do that on Fox.
Yeah, I mean, it's the early 2000s. You can get away with a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so we go to Zoe, and Zoe's docking onto the space station where Niska is. She arrives. She's unarmed. She's like, hey, I'm unarmed. I just want to meet with Niska. And then Niska is like torturing Mal and Wash, and he gets word that Zoe's arrived. And Zoe shows up, and gives Niska all the money. And she's like, I want to buy my men back. And Niska goes, oh, well, this isn't enough money. This isn't enough money for both of them. Maybe this is only enough money for one of them. And Zoe goes, him. And she points to Wash. And he's like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah, did you think that you were going to like do some kind of crazy, like, oh, make me choose? No, I'm picking my husband.
Funny.
And very, very quick, very good. I like this.
Yeah, it's getting funny, guys. It's getting funny.
So Wash gets released, and then Niska is like, no. Just wait. You gave me too much money for one of these guys. Here, you should get a part of the other one. And then he chops off Mal's ear, or his boy chops off Mal's ear.
No, he doesn't.
And he gives it, he does? Okay. Mm-hmm. And then he gives it to Zoe. And then Zoe and Wash leave. And I mean, this is the first time you've ever seen Zoe like, oh, fuck. And Mal is screaming. And Zoe and Wash leave. And then Mal continues to get tortured. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, shit, these stakes, man. He doesn't have an ear anymore.
Just because I know shows and I knew they weren't going to let him not have an ear. It's going to be too much for makeup every time and all that. I was like, they're going to find a way to put it back on. Yeah. And it's interesting how that comes about. But I was like, yeah, they're going to get it back. And once she put it in like a napkin or a cloth and like fold it up, I was like, all right.
Yeah. So Zoe's walking Wash back to Serenity, and Wash is like, Mal is fucking crazy. Mal's nuts. And you know what? But I never would have made it without Mal. That guy, he's really like a hero. And Zoe's like, and then Wash is like, I'm worried that he's going to die. Like, he's going to kill him. He's going to kill Mal. And Zoe goes, no, don't worry about it. Niska's not going to kill him. He's going to torture him for a couple days before he kills him, but he's not going to kill him right away. And Wash is like, we got to get him back. We got to get him back. And then they all return to Serenity, and Zoe gives Simon Mal's ear, and she's like, put this on ice, and can you reattach this? And then Simon opens it up in front of the rest of the crew, and he's like, oh, holy fuck, it's his ear. Yeah, I should be able to reattach it if it, there's still a head attached to his body or whatever.
Yeah, he also mentions that he needs a special machine to do it.
So,
and Jane has the best line here. He goes, because Simon goes, I can reattach it, and Jane goes, what are you gonna do? Clone him, or I could fix it or something? He's like, what are you gonna do? Clone him?
Yeah.
Now
Jane saw Mal's ear, and he goes, I'm going to my bunk.
Everything's turning you on, Jane. The part that I didn't fully like is the turnabout for Wash. When he says,
I agree with you.
When he goes, he wouldn't break. I'm like, what do you mean break? He's not torturing you guys for information. He's not like, tell me where Serenity is so I can kill the rest of the crew. He's not trying to get any information out of you.
Yeah, like
what's the break?
They keep going back to like Mal being tortured and stuff. Yeah. And, I know Niska's doing this to like see who the real Mal is, but like Mal has nothing to like give up.
There's another there's another thing that this guy says, Niska says later about why he's torturing and what he wants to accomplish from it. And I'm like, I think you've already accomplished as much as you can based off of this situation. But yeah, I never got, I'll talk about that when we get there, but I never understood. I didn't get Wash just being like, I would have broke if it wasn't for him. I was like, you guys were both just getting electrocuted together, not even talking to Niska.
Yeah, you were arguing about who's going to fuck your wife. Like, what breaking point was there?
Yeah, what part of him saying, if I get back on the ship, I'm going to fuck your wife, did you go like, I got to get him back on the ship?
Maybe Wash is into it. Who knows? He's just waiting to be cucked.
He's like, I got the chair in the corner.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, it didn't really make sense. And Wash being like, I never would have made it without Mal. It's like, made what? Like, you were both getting electrocuted. Like, it's not like he saved you or was like, no, give me all of the torture, save Wash. Like, there wasn't a moment of that happening. So I don't know exactly what Wash is talking about.
Like, I'd be more fine if he's like, well, I don't want Niska to kill him. I want to kill him. So I'm going to go save him or something, like just he's a part of the team. Just save him like that, but not he's so strong and powerful. I was like, what are you talking about, man?
He's so strong and confident. Got a good jawline, and this is the first time I saw him without his shirt on, too, and my God, Mal is pretty... I get it, Zoe. I get why you fucked him. Zoe's like, what? But yeah, so we go back to Mal.
He knows Zoe never did it.
Yeah. But we go back to Mal getting tortured some more, and Niska starts talking Shan Yu again, and Niska's like, I'm doing this because I think you're extraordinary. And Niska brings out a special machine for Mal. This is a special, unlike any other torture device you've ever seen, and I'm going to see the real Mal Reynolds. And then he puts this, like, it looks like a vacuum cleaner's, like, extendo arm. Just puts it in his, like, solar plexus, and then it, like, digs under his skin, and then Mal starts really screaming.
Mm-hmm. Now, another funny line in this scene was when Niska starts talking about the Shang Tzu or whatever, and Mal goes, "Oh no, what are you trying to get me to join a book club?"
Yeah, yeah.
Mal's taking his torture pretty. He's used to it, I guess. He's handling it pretty well.
He really is. He's got quips.
Yes, his quips are hitting for me. That's what I think is the funniest. I think all of Mal's quips are hitting for me at the end of this episode.
Fair enough. So Wash and Zoe, they start to gather up some weapons, and Jane is watching on. He's just eating an apple off of his knife, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And they're like, "We're going to go back on Niska's ship, and we're going to rescue Mal." And Jane's like, "That's fucking suicide. This is stupid. Are you crazy?" And Kaylee shows up, and she's talking about how she tried to get Inara to get the counselor to do something, but the counselor's like, "It's out of my jurisdiction," or she can't help really. And Jane's like, "This is all stupid. This is stupid. We should not be doing this." And Wash and Zoe are like, "We're doing it." And then Wash goes like, "We got a little saying around these parts. It's called No Man Left Behind." And then he cocks like a noisy cricket type gun. And Jane's like, "Yeah, you're going to die."
He cocks the smallest gun possible. It's so awesome because it's the hero shot. And it's like, he's got to use like 2 fingers to do it. It's like, tick, tick.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jane just sees that and he's like, "Yeah, you're going to die."
Yeah. It's so funny. Again, funny episode.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think it's a funny episode.
Yeah, it's getting there. The beginning, it took a while to get the humor going.
Yeah. So then Wash and Zoe, they're getting ready to leave Serenity. And as they're getting ready to leave, Simon, Book, and Kaylee, they're strapped up too. They got a bunch of guns. They're like, "We're coming too. We're getting Mal back." And they're like, "Oh, for real?" Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. I guess so. And then they all look up to like the bridge above the cargo bay, and Jane's there, and he's strapped up now too. He's got Vera, and they're like, "What are you doing? You said it was a suicide mission." He's like, "Yeah, but whatever." And so they're all like, "All right, the whole crew is here. We're gonna rescue Mal."
It seemed interesting that they treated it like that wouldn't just naturally happen. I feel like they all just band together every time someone goes missing.
Yeah. I mean, Simon usually stays back.
Or, yeah, and Kaylee doesn't go out.
We've never seen Kaylee. Yeah, we've never really seen Kaylee do it either.
And she's here for a specific purpose.
Oh, yeah, she is.
But, yeah, I do love that they go like, "Preacher, Book, are you going to kill people?" He's like, I'm going to shoot some kneecaps.
Oh, yeah. I will say that was pretty badass. They said something like, "I'm not sure what your Bible says about killing people." And he goes, "Yes, it says that you should not kill people, but it gets a little hazy about shooting people in the knees." I was like, "God damn."
Yeah.
All right, Book.
Looks like I can't read it because River ripped all the pages out of it.
Yeah. I think River must have ripped that page out.
No laser guns in this one.
Oh, no, there's laser guns.
Is there laser guns?
Oh, there's pew-pews for sure.
Yeah, I guess when they're going down the hallway, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. But we go back to Niska's torture chamber, and apparently that new torture device, it killed Mal.
Well,
and Niska's like, oh no, that is not what I wanted to do. We need to revive him.
Well, I want to say that they do one of the lamest fake outs. What happens is Zoe says, all right, let's go get the captain. And then they cut to Mal and Niska's torture chamber. And then we hear someone say, yeah, he's dead. Commercial break.
Yeah.
It was okay. But, you know he's not going to be dead. It's very commercial break setup-y.
Yeah. But we come back from commercial break, and Mal is being revived. They defibrillate him, and Niska's like, oh, no, I am glad that you're not dead because I want to torture you some more. And then his boy shows up again, and he's got some weird scissors. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, where's he going to put those? Is this probable ball stuff? What's going on?
You thought probable ball stuff there?
I don't know. He put the scissors like up to his
face,
like chest area.
I love how probable ball stuff can start at any part of the face.
Well, he was moving down. He started at the face and was moving down.
I thought he was gonna like rip his teeth out, something like that,
Oh, that would have been good. That's good torture.
Well, Niska, this is the scene where Niska mentions that he wants to torture him for like at least 2 days. And then he says he wants people to know what happened because you crossed me and people need to know what happens when you cross me. And it goes back to how they had that guy hanging in the freezer when he first met.
Yeah.
Now,
he says something about like people know the name Malcolm Reynolds and people know the name Niska. And like, I need to make sure that they know what happens when you cross me or whatever.
Yeah. So how is he going to let people know that if he dies here? No one's witnessing this besides the people that on the ship, unless Zoe says, oh yeah, Niska got him and cut his ear off. Like, this is just like,
this isn't like a public display or anything. It's not like tied up publicly somewhere. Like it's on Niska's ship.
Yeah, exactly. And it's this big enough like galaxy that you can't just drop him off at some random planet and hope that someone sees the body and goes, oh man, Niska did this. So I could see like keeping him alive, do another business deal, have someone else walk in there, like have a guy that travels around, see that and go, oh shit, let me spread the word. But if you're just going to do
intimidation tactic.
Yeah. But if you're just going to torture a guy in his own room, like that's not anything to me.
Yeah. Is he webcam in this? Is this on Niska's OnlyFans?
This is something that I really thought was going to happen. I thought that Book was going to give information to Zoe about the code because he keeps bringing up the Shang Tzu thing, And I thought there would be like some Shan Yu. I didn't have the captions though, so I wasn't sure how it's spelled. I thought he was going to give some information. They were going to use the ideology against him, because when he was going in earlier, she's like, he has a code. Niska has a code. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. And I think they used that a little bit for like, oh, you gave me too much money. Here's a refund kind of scam thing.
Yeah.
But I thought there was something else.
But he's not a gang. He's not heartless. He just wants money.
No. I mean, he's not going to make you overpay for the people he's torturing. But,
Well, also on the train job, isn't Book the one that like knew about Niska too? Like Book has some like prior knowledge about Niska. So it would have been
he does have prior knowledge.
See him play a bit more role, like maybe giving Zoe some info about like, hey, this is how you get to Niska.
Because they're tied in talking about the same philosophy and the same dictator. Yeah, that would have been, I thought that was going to happen, but instead we get action Book.
Yes, we do. So the Serenity crew, they are making their way to Niska's ship, and Wash has done something where he shut down all ways to trace their ship, and they're just going to basically like crash into the ship and dock somehow. And the crew gets ready. Their shuttle docks, and the guy on Niska's ship sounds an alarm, and we go over to Serenity, and they like pull down the cargo bay entrance, and they send Wash's little ATV down first, and they make it explode on Niska's guards. And then they start throwing grenades, and everybody comes out shooting. And Zoe tells Book, Simon, and Kaylee to like stay back by the ship, because if we lose this ground, we're fucked. Like, we can't have people coming into our ship. We need to guard our ship. This is our only way out, which I thought was good.
Mm-hmm. At first, I was confused about why that was what they needed to guard, and then I saw like where the ship was. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So
I have a question. I have a question
Sure.
for you though. Does Book, because he's working on that little buggy explosion thing, does him blowing up those guys count on his body count?
Well, those guys I feel like didn't die, because after that blows up, they're still alive, and then that's when Zoe and Jane and everybody shoots them.
Okay.
But it easily could have killed them.
Yes. If you throw a grenade and no one dies, it's not like, well, I didn't kill them. It's like, you tried. You definitely tried.
I think God's gonna. God's not. Well, that was okay. I see you're finding loopholes in my biblical scriptures here. Good on you, Book. I didn't think about that.
I honestly thought he wasn't going to say kneecaps. I thought he was going to be like, there's so much killing in the Bible and war battles.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to have something like that.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to quote something it said, well.
I mean, the kneecaps line is pretty
It's badass. And what we see later is badass, but it's very.
Oh, yeah.
It's very Terminator 2, a movie that Joe has not seen, that has probably the best version of this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Zoe and Jane, they're going to go through the ship. They're killing guards. It's Zoe, Jane, and Wash. They're moving through the ship, and they're killing everyone in sight. Luckily, Niska's hired a bunch of stormtroopers that cannot hit anything. Like, even people that are like hiding in plain sight, like you could easily see them. They just cannot hit them.
Book should have got his head blown off at one point. He is not in cover.
Dude, yes.
That was so funny. I mean, that's the next scene, but yeah.
But they're killing a bunch of people, and Niska's annoyed now that he has to go and deal with this. And he gets word, and like he hears the alarm. He's like, all right, let's go. Me and my boy, let's go. So they turn their back on Mal, and Mal is just on like a torture table. Mal gets up, knocks out Niska's bodyguard.
He puts that thing on his back, the thing that was on his chest. He shoves it on his back.
Oh, that's what he did.
Yeah.
Okay. And that guy like passes out, and then Mal, he gets up and he goes, oh, dude, I fucking love this line too.
Yeah, he punches the shit out of Niska, and Niska's such a coward. He goes, ow.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that should have really like killed Niska. I mean, Niska's old as fuck. But I guess Mal has been tortured, so he's probably a weak.
I just love the frailty of the person that's torturing and talking shit. And then like once you get the upper hand on him, he's like a cowering little coward.
Yeah. But after he punches Niska out, he goes over and he goes, so you wanted to see the real Malcolm Reynolds? Here he is. And then, chills, man.
Yeah, I wrote that line down as, want to meet the real me now? And he's still got like the marks on his chest, and he's bloody, and he's got no ear. Intimidating.
He's all sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it got dark for a bit.
I'll be in my bunk.
Yeah.
So there's a line that he says earlier, because it's a funny episode, when they first start storming in and Mal's on the table. He goes, if you got guests, I can come back later.
Yeah.
I was like, that's just a fun like, he's being tortured, but he's still getting the quips out.
Yeah, Mal's shit talk is elite.
Yes.
But so there we go, the Serenity crew, and they're still killing guards, and Book just straight up kills a few guys.
He's shooting knees. He shot a knee, and the guy fell head first into a thing and probably knocked himself out. Probably concussed. I mean, these shots are money. He looks badass shooting. Like he's shooting someone in a kneecap while they're running. Not easy. He's hitting moving targets.
Trust me, I've done it. It's tough.
That's
I know from experience.
That's why
that's hard.
That's why you're podcasting now. You couldn't cut it as an elite mercenary.
I know, it's my former life. But Yeah, the book is just like taking motherfuckers out.
Mhm.
Simon and Kaylee are looking at him like, what the holy shit, dude.
We won't ask about this when we get back to the ship.
We will not. And then eventually, like, Book hears from Zoe and Jane, like, Book, you gotta come here. You gotta come here. You gotta help us. And Book is like, I'm on it. And it just comes out. I think he's double guns in, like,
Yeah. It's like him and Simon go because they need backup
Yeah.
or something. They're all,
And
I
they
guess they
leave.
wanted everyone to back up. Yeah.
And they leave Kaylee to guard the ship. And Kaylee is like, got her little gun, and she's like, I can't fucking do this. She starts retreating back to the ship, and then 3 guys show up, and they're shooting at Kaylee, and she's like, ah!
How did those guys even get past where they...
I was about to say that exact same thing, but whatever.
Yeah.
For the moment,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Kaylee retreats back to the ship, and she's hiding behind like one of their metal doors. And then River just shows up out of nowhere, and she's like, hey there, what's going on? And Kaylee's like, River, oh God, no, you can't be here. And then River takes Kaylee's gun, and she goes, ugh, I can't look while I do this. And then she stands up with the gun with her head turned and her eyes closed and just pew, 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 kills all 3 guys. And like you get that badass hero, like wide angle shot with her and the gun. And then she opens her eyes and she sees him. And Kaylee's looking up at River like, what the fuck was that? And then River turns to Kaylee and says, no power in the verse can stop me. And then Kaylee's like, oh, Jesus.
Which is a callback to the earlier line that Kaylee said to her when she got the apple from her. So that's why she says that line. And when I saw River shoot the 3 people, I wrote in my notes, I was right. This is what I remember from the Serenity movie. And I was like, okay, all right. She's got her little skill set now.
I mean, I feel like River could have done this without the medicine. Like River was always doing kind of wacky shit like
My
this.
prediction was that we were going to get closer to what I vaguely remember from the movie.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying.
Well, I don't know what you remember from the movie, so
she's got some she's a skilled asset, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
That's what I vaguely remember.
So then we go back to Mal, and Mal is beating Niska up. And then Niska's bodyguard, he eventually attacks Mal from behind. And Niska runs away like, yee! And this bodyguard is like choking Mal. And then Mal like thrusts this guy through a window pane type thing. And then they're standing on the edge of like a railing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they're dangling kind of over this railing that looks like the thing that the Emperor falls down in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the bodyguard's choking Mal. And Zoe and Jane see this from across the platform. And Jane is like, I can't get a good shot on him. And Zoe goes, don't. This is something Mal needs to do himself, or Mal would want to do this himself. And then you just hear off screen, no, I don't. And then they're like, oh, shit. And then so they all just shoot Niska's bodyguard over the railing.
Yeah. And then we get the worst special effects death scene ever put to video.
Put to film, yeah. It was pretty brutal.
And it's like long and
I'm
like,
slow-mo it.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, why do we care about this goon? Like, if it was Niska, I'm like, all right, we can show the death longer. But this is just a goon.
Yeah.
But I will say, so funny, this scene. Mal's getting choked out, and he says, heaven, you killed me enough for one day. Hilarious. Then when Zoe and them show up, and she just goes, hey, this is something the captain has to do for himself. And then you hear Mal go, no, it's not. And then she goes, oh. And then they all just shoot. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Because when she said that, I was like, it's no way this is something he needs to do for himself.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? What?
It's that like classic, it's an undercutting like they did with the which one are you going to choose thing. And they just quickly undercut it.
I will say the haven't you killed me enough one day is such a Buffy Summers line.
Yeah, I mean, all of these quips are very Whedon-esque tonally. Like, it's nice when you get little bits of that, which are fun. This world is completely different. I mean, we were talking last night about how the show is just like, the look of it is very muddy.
Yeah.
And I know that's what they were going for, but it's just something about it that's just blah. It's just a lot of beige on the
earth tones, brown, sand, khaki.
It's not a pretty show. And here's the thing. If you watch Westerns, and I don't watch a ton of Westerns, but Westerns are like, those spaghetti Westerns are brighter. They still have like that color, like that Technicolor poppiness to them. This has no pop to it. It's all muted.
It's very gray.
Yeah.
Like it's very gray, washed out.
Yeah.
Just earth tony. Like I completely agree. It's very muddy and just like not pretty looking.
Do you think they could do a remaster? a Buffy style remaster? Do you think that would just ruin the show even more?
Probably. Honestly, like the last episode, Ariel, when they're like going through that one place and everything is like blue and white, and they were wearing like navy blue and they were going through the hospital, that was probably like the brightest and like most visually interesting episode.
You know what?
We're back to this.
You know what it might be?
Like very gray.
It might be a Fox thing. Because if you think of like New Girl, the Bernie Mac show, all those, like they all have like Fox has a unique color.
Like a brown. Yeah, like
brownish. Like when Brooklyn Nine-Nine switched from like NBC or from Fox to NBC or whichever way it was. Like you just see a color change. Like certain networks have just kind of like
a signature style.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That could be true because I remember the Bernie Mac show. Like everything was very brown.
Yeah.
New Girl, I feel like was quite a bit brighter.
It was brighter. I think New Girl has the brightness, but it still has a lot of the warm tones. It's not that. Yeah. It's not like a Seinfeld, a Friends. Like it's not that high key color lighting. Like Modern Family is brighter.
Yeah, Modern Family is very bright. Yeah. But that's also like from a way different era. Like
but I'm saying Modern Family and New Girl look completely different for comedies like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
that's industry talk with Joe and Vance.
Yeah, just
talk about color grading.
Just talking about the look of the show. The look of the show is one that can turn people off. My wife only sees the show through like passing by the TV and just glancing at it, and it's like does not suck her into it.
Yeah.
Plus, she's probably seen a lot of random weird scenes every time.
Yeah. So yeah, then we have the crew, Serenity crew, back on the ship. Simon has reattached Mal's ear, no problem.
Because Inara sexed her way to getting that machine from the counselor.
Yes, she did.
That was her. That was her. That's what she brought to this episode.
Yep. And she wishes Mal would have killed Niska, and Niska's like, he got away.
Mal's like, he was.
Yeah. Simon, Mal's like, I'm really heartwarmed that like all of you guys like came to rescue me, even you, Simon. And Simon's like, yeah, man, it's crazy. I've never shot anyone before. And Book slaps him on the shoulder and he goes, I was there, son. I'm fairly certain you haven't shot anyone yet. And then it's all chuckles.
That line is hilarious.
That was a pretty good line.
Book's delivery of that was so good.
I was there, son. I am certain that you haven't shot anyone yet.
And I was just thinking, this is Simon who we just saw choke a dude out with his knee last episode, like last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's different. He still hasn't shot anyone.
He still hasn't shot anyone.
But then, everybody's like chuckling and Kaylee's sitting away from everybody and she's laughing. And then she like looks up at that little cargo bay bridge and she sees River walking by. And then River looks down at her like, you better keep my secret, kind of. And Kaylee's like, I'm scared of River now.
Yeah, Kaylee can't even like make eye contact with River. And I'm like, did you not see Book just kneecapping everybody?
Yeah.
River shooting 3 people and saving your ass. You should be like, oh, cool. That's interesting.
I will say River's delivery of no power in the verse can stop me was a bit haunting.
I think that with her shooting people blindly. It's just like, I don't know what the deal is with this girl. But you also watched her slash Jane's chest recently. That didn't stop you from playing with apples with her.
And I'm sure that Simon has told them about, like, yeah, she's a mega genius at every single skill in the entire world.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't she be good at shooting? You know?
I'm waiting. I think next episode we'll get another thing, I think, that she can do.
Right.
Besides reading minds, which I did not know that was a part of her thing.
Yeah.
Still don't get that, but sure. Yeah, but
so
Kaylee, do you think Kaylee's like not just going to tell Mal about that? Do they think she killed those 3 people?
I think that she won't. Because it's a TV show, she won't. In real life, she absolutely would.
Is she?
And people would have asked book stuff by now. And like there would have been a lot of information sharing, but because this is a TV show, Kaylee will wait to bring it up like at a time where it's like, well, I saw her shoot 3 people blindly, but I didn't think that. I thought it was just lucky or something.
I'm almost going to predict a scene where Kaylee tries to bring it up to Simon and Simon doesn't want to hear it. And then Kaylee gets really sad because it's ruining her chances of hooking up with Simon.
Dude, you're so right. Dude, that is such a good prediction. That is such a good prediction.
Her bringing up to Mal doesn't really do anything. She can't talk to Zoe because Zoe's not a real person on the ship anymore. Wash only cares about Zoe, so it wouldn't matter. Jane already hates River, so he wouldn't care. Bring it up to Simon, he would get defensive.
She did what? She would never. Not my sister. and then Kaylee does the like arms crossed.
Yeah, they haven't
offended.
We haven't had a lot of Kaylee Simon romance stuff since they got drunk in Janestown.
Yeah, Janestown.
Yeah.
Yeah, well. So then we go over to Zoe making dinner for Wash. Take that, Saffron, you bitch.
They love to have Zoe tucking in that napkin. Like, they love that.
But Wash is super happy to be back on the ship, and he's like, wife soup. This is great. And she kisses him. She's like, for anything for my man. And then Mal shows up. And Mal goes, Wash, did you tell Zoe what the deal was? And Wash is like, what? And then Mal goes, yeah. When we were being tortured on Niska's ship, Wash said that he wanted me to have sex with you. And Zoe's like, oh, is that so? And Wash is like, that was the heat of the moment. That was the torture talking. And Mal is like, no, an order's an order. I'm going to, Zoe, it's time. We need to get rid of all of this sexual tension that Wash is feeling between us. And Zoe's like, well, if it's for the good of the crew and it's for the good of the ship, I suppose we must do it. And this is where Jane starts lurking in. And he's like, oh man, this is awkward. Because Mal is like, just like awkwardly puts his hands on her shoulders. And he's like, all right, let's commence with the doing it. And Wash is like, stop it. And he pulls Zoe away. And then he goes, we'll be in our bunk. And he slaps Zoe's ass. And then they leave. And then Jane comes in and he goes, ooh, free soup. And that's
hilarious. That's the reason not to kick Jane off the ship.
Just for those little moments.
Just for a free soup.
Eating everybody else's food.
If you're going to make soup, you got to make enough for everybody. Soup's not a one, unless it's a can. Unless there's one of the cans that River ripped the labels off of and you open it thinking it was peaches.
Yeah, soup is a thing that if you're making it from scratch, that's like you could definitely make enough for everybody very easily.
Soup is one of the most, like soup and chili and stew are like the most hearty spaghetti. Bulk thing that you can make.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is the episode. I really like this one.
This is good.
Firefly is finding its stride.
I think so. Thanks for sticking around if you are still listening to Boys Watching Firefly.
Yeah, I know that some people were like, you guys are being a little too harsh on this show.
It's not too harsh. It's just we haven't gotten to the point that you like the show yet, probably.
Yeah.
We just call it as we see it, you know?
I mean, people said that, like, you couldn't tell where we stood with Buffy until like midway through season 2, where we, quote, really fell in love with the show. But then afterwards, people were even like, you guys even like this show? So
we had to make shirts about it.
Yeah. But I got to say, Firefly, I mean, these last couple episodes have been really good.
I got to say, I haven't gone back and listened to a ton of the first season Buffy stuff that we did. But I remember having a lot of fun with those silly episodes. So I don't know.
Yeah, I recently like went back to listen to the dummy episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we were having a good time with it. I don't know what people were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we roast it every once in a while, like, but that's just what we do.
Yeah.
That's the podcast.
Some of the best things we watch is all roasts.
Yeah. Simply Irresistible. Mr. Fix It.
Gosh, so good.
Subscribe on Patreon. Scrooged, if you're still in the holiday spirit.
Yes.
You want to hear us roast a movie? Scrooged.
Yes. Scrooged and Love Actually also. We did Love Actually.
Yeah, Love Actually.
That is something to check out on the Patreon.
And our most recent one, The Long Kiss Goodnight, which will come out Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Plugging that again.
Extra long episode for everybody.
Very long. Longer than the movie.
Yeah.
Which is most of our podcasts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is War Stories. Good episode. Liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Thought it was great.
Not as good as the previous episode for me, but yeah.
Ariel, that one was good.
That
they
was
actually
fun.
pull off a heist.
Yeah, but this was pretty good. I think this is the funniest episode for me. And a lot of the humor comes at the end, but Book delivers a line. Free soup got me. Mal's quips, that whole thing about no, it's not, was great.
Yeah. All right. Next episode is titled Trash. What are we thinking for trash?
All right. Here's my prediction. They park Serenity somewhere. Wash goes and looks at butterflies or something. The ship gets towed and put into like a junkyard and have to go and get it.
I like that prediction a lot. I'm going to do the same prediction, but change it ever so slightly. It's not going to be Wash. It's going to be Inara is still on the ship, and then they have to rescue Inara.
My thing was that Wash leaves, so no one's on the ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that Inara is still going to be on the ship when they do that. But all right. That is a wrap, everybody. Thanks for listening. Join our Patreon, patreon.com/boyswatchingbuffy. Join our Discord. Let us know what you think about Firefly and the pod and everything that's going on in the world. Instagram at boyswatchingbuffy, TikTok at boyswatchingbuffy, email boyswatchingbuffy@gmail.com. If you want to get a shout out, Apple Podcast 5-star rating and review, Spotify 5-star ratings, take a screenshot of it, send it in to us. We got merch. We got Amazon wish list. Yeah, that's a wrap, everybody. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned next time for when we talk about trash.
We're getting them back.
What are we gonna do, clone them?
Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.